Crashing waves, fiberglass boards, and sand. They all tie into one of the most adrenaline-pumping sports of all time, surfing. Today I would like to speak on the sport of surfing, and these sources provide me with information for this speech. Wikipedia, www.wikipedia.org. Surfline, www.surfline.com. Surfing for Life, www.surfingforlife.com. E-zine articles, www.ezinearticles.com. And Club of the Waves, www.clubofthewaves.com. I will be using this information to discuss the history of surfing, advances in board technology, and influential figures in surfing today. Every sport has history behind it, surfing is no exception. The first recording of surfing by Europeans was during Captain James Cook's third expedition to the Pacific. He stopped off in Hawaii on his way back to the northwest coast of the United States. His two-page description of surfing was the earliest written account of surfing. This was in 1779. Surfing had long been integrated into the Hawaiian culture, much in the same way that baseball is into American culture. There were even certain surf spots in Hawaii that were reserved for royalty, as well as spots reserved for commoners. Much of this passion for surfing would soon change in Hawaii, though, when the Calvinist missionaries came to Hawaii. The Calvinist religion is one of modesty and morality, a mix that does not go well with surfing. By the beginning of the 20th century, surfing was all but forgotten about in Hawaii. In 1905, there was a re-emergence of surfing in the Hawaiian Islands with the creation of surf clubs that would hold competitions on the beach. During this time, there was a man named Duke Kenamoku who had become famous for his surfing and swimming abilities. Duke was invited in 1915 to Australia for a swimming exhibition. While there, he was credited with single-handedly putting Australia on a path to superpower status in the surfing world. During this time, surfing was also growing in California, one of the future homes of modern surfing. With the arrival of World War II, there was an influx of men sent to California and Hawaii, exposing many of them to the sport of surfing. By the 1950s, surfing was booming in California, and the same style surf clubs that existed in Hawaii now uncovered the California coastline. With the arrival of the movie Gidget, as well as other surf-related mass media, everyone by the 1960s was surfing. Today, we find surfing to be everywhere we look, in movies, in styles of clothes. Surfing has become mainstream, a far cry from the 1779 story of Hawaiian natives doing crazy things on large pieces of wood. As with any sport that has grown in popularity and matures over time, the technology of the sport also advances. The original surfboards of the Hawaiian people came in two styles. The Olo, which was 14 to 16 feet in length and ridden by royalty, and the Alaya, which was between 10 and 12 feet and ridden by the common Hawaiians. Both of these surfboards were made of solid redwood. In 1926, the concept changed when Tom Blake designed the first hollow surfboard by taking the traditional redwood board, drilling holes in it, and sandwiching two pieces of wood on the top and bottom. Redwood was eventually discarded as the use of balsa wood became more popular. The use of balsa wood cut the weight of the surfboard in half. After World War II, the use of fiberglass and styrofoam gained immense popularity, and have been two of the central materials used in the creation of surfboards today. With the use of fiberglass and styrofoam, the dimensions and abilities of surfboards have changed to where a board can be created for almost any type of wave you would see in the water. The two main categories of surfboards, however, are longboards and shortboards. Longboards are 8 feet or longer in length and tend to be thicker and wider as far as boards go. This is a predominantly single-finned board and has the advantage of buoyancy as well as a greater planar surface. This is important in surfing because it allows longboard riders to ride smaller waves, and fin placement is important because the maneuverability of the board is due in large part to the placement of the fins. The other major category of surfboard, the shortboards, are between 5 and 7 feet and are thinner than a longboard, with a more pointed nose. These boards are more maneuverable and allow the rider to perform complicated maneuvers while riding a wave. There are also subcategories of surfboard that have come from the advancement in board technology. Advancement of these are the fish board, which is under 6 feet in length with a distinctly fish swallowtail, and it is used also in smaller waves. On the other end of the spectrum is the surfboard style called a gun. Gun boards are between 7 and 12 feet and very thin. They are used to ride gigantic waves that are 20 plus feet in places like Waimea Bay and the North Shore in Hawaii. My own surfboard is a surfboard that measures 6 foot 6 inches, made by the shaper Al Merrick. Al's surfboard company, Channel Island Surfboards, is one of the better known surfboard manufacturers and even used by 7-time world champion Kelly Slater. My board is designed to be used in smaller and larger waves, but not an extreme in each end. It is a perfect surfboard for Texas surfing because the unpredictability of surf and common lack of the surf we experience here in Texas. Advances in technology of sport cannot be done without a specific people to create these advances that we take for granted in the surfing world today. In the world we live in, just because you're at the beach does not necessarily mean that the water is going to be comfortable or even survivable in just a bathing suit. Enter Jack O'Neill. Jack moved to California from Denver, Colorado when he was young and began surfing. He was troubled, however, with how cold and uncomfortable the water was. So he began experimenting with different types of rubber to help him stay warm during the 60s. He came up with the concept of laminating elastic nylon to neoprene foam, and thus the wetsuit was born. Today, O'Neill is the highest-selling wetsuit brand in the world and is used by thousands of surfers all over the globe, including myself. Another influential figure in the world of surfing is a man named Simon Anderson from Sydney, Australia. Anderson is a big man as far as surfing goes, standing well over 6 feet. This caused him to suffer in competition when he would ride a shortboard, but his body called for one large fin to be effective, which was obsolete compared to the two-fin system of the day. So Simon came up with the concept of the thruster, 2 smaller fins on the outside of the surfboard with one larger fin in between. This is credited being the biggest turn in surfing history since the use of foam, and is still very commonplace among surfers today. Without the help of these 2 men, surfing would not be nearly as accessible as it is today. And in conclusion, surfing is my passion, one sport I would rather take part in over any others. I believe that knowing a brief history of surfing, some of the advances in board technology, and some of the influential figures in surfing today have shed some light on my passion. I encourage everyone to give surfing a chance if they ever find themselves in the position to. You may just like what you find. Thank you.